Alright everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy Fears video with Fat Phil, and today we're going to be breaking down Zetas, and we're going to turn this into a little bit of a series where we kind of explore Zetas, the Zeta economy, ones that, do you need this one? Can you need it? Can you not live without it? Is it performance-based? Is it a one? Like, what is it, right? And because I think there's a lot of questions on Zetas, and I think it's been cropping up as a couple of things have happened. I think one of the biggest things, of course, being everybody's favorite Lightspeed bundles. The Lightspeed bundles, regardless of which ones you purchased, right? Whether it was the Night Sisters, the Rebels with the Phoenix, Rogue One, First Order, Rey, whatever one it is. You bought some bundles and you're short on Zetas. For some of you, maybe you're free to play and you're finally beginning to feel that crunch because we're moving through these new raids, where right now we're still in this Battle for Naboo era, where, hey, I needed to, Zeta a bunch of characters that otherwise I wasn't going to Zeta. And then now I've got to prepare for the Order 66 raid, where I need the new Bad Batch and the clones and whatever other factions are coming, down the pipeline, that I'm going to need Zetas there. And as a free-to-play, that can be a lot. So it's important that we talk about just how many Zetas you can get in a month, what are their sources, and then kind of breaking down which ones we do and don't need and how to analyze that. Because I think that's the harder part. Is I think you get a lot more Zetas than you realize. We just aren't always the best at spending them in the best of ways, because we get blinded by maybe an account like Arnold or Fat Phil or Calvin, Sanjita, Nooch, one of your favorite, pick your favorite content creator besides Egnard's. We get blinded. So with that said, please like, subscribe. Let's give a shout to our channel members, as always, for their continued support. If you're ever interested, link below, along with a link to Discord. Go check that out. Thank you again for keeping the faith, believing in me. I've really appreciated and enjoyed getting to know you guys, whether it's just through roster reviews or, we're talking, in the members only section. You guys are the best. I really can't thank you enough for everything. So let's get in here, guys. Let's talk about some Zetas. Alright, so we're going to flip over to our screen capture here, because I have a Google spreadsheet that we're going to be sharing. And, I said unless your name is Egnard's, I was actually very kidding, because, fun fact, so over the weekend, in the midst of our territory battles war, I was like, yo, dude, I want to start this series on Zetas, and I was kind of talking to him about it, and he literally was like, dude, I love this topic. I made this spreadsheet for you. I want you to use this. So he made this. So shout out to Egg. He made this for me, which he did not have to do, but he got very curious about, how many Zetas can you get in a month. So this first tab here is exactly that. It's how many Zetas you can earn in a single month. And we've kind of broken out a bunch of different sources with different totals. So over here, you've got Fleet Arena. And this is your daily reward structure 1 through 50. So 1,800 for first place, all the way down to 1,300 for 21st through 50th place. And then we break that out by 30 days in a month and how many Zeta materials that adds up to. I then also added this saving 1, 2, 3. I don't really have a great terminology here, but the idea being, all right, maybe you get 6th through 10th, or you get third place a day, but you're spending 400 of your current fleet currency on a ship, so you're down here. And that's kind of what this is showing, that, all right, if you save 1,200 points a day, save 800 points a day, or save 400 points a day, here's the amount of Zetas you'll end up with at the end of a month, right? If you, spend 400, every 5 days, you're going to be able to buy a Zeta, so that comes out to 6 Zetas. So that's your Zeta materials from Fleet Arena. Then over here, we have other sources. So your hard mode conquest, you get 5. There's 7, again, just to do the math here, there's 7 legacy assault battles, multiplied by 2 Zetas, you get 14. Territory wars, you get 3 for a win, 2 for a loss. So an average of, so if you average that out, 5 for 1, 2 wins, 2 losses. Grand Arena, this was a funny one with Egg and I, but if you go 5 and 4, you can literally break out the math in GAC that if you, for every, for every win that you get, you can get a Zeta, right? And I know that sounds funny, like you guys are going to laugh at that, say, no, Phil, that's not the way it works. Let me show you here. See this weekly event rewards structure here? So if you look, for rank 8, there's no Zetas, right? Soon as you move up to rank 5 through 7, you get a single Zeta. Well, when you place 5th through 7th, you got 1 win that week. If you go rank 2 through 4, you're going to get 2 Zetas, which guess what? That's 2 wins that week. And if you get rank 1, the only person, that was 3 wins, you get 3 Zetas. So it's kind of this funny little thing where if you break down your, Zeta income that way, it is 1 Zeta per win. So, you're going to get 5 there. The Ghosts of Dathomir, Endor Escalation, you get 2 Zetas for completing those. And then you're going to get, and again, we just did 26 for your weekly challenges, because if you do the 6 Zetas a week times 52 weeks divided by 12, you're going to get 26 Zetas, from that. And then, of course, your dailies. You get 115 points for completing your fleet, daily objectives, which comes out to 1.725 Zetas per, month there, right? So, again, and by materials, right, that's salvage. That's like your Zeta salvage. So, if you take these numbers, you get to 65. So, you add those to your fleets, and that's where these numbers come from. Now, some of you are going to say, well, Phil, I don't get that many. Maybe I only get, 4 assault battles. Okay, well, then do the 4 here, and then your numbers change, right? And you can change whatever one of these numbers you want, and we'll kind of show that impact on some other tabs here as we move through. But this gives you a general idea that, 92 Zetas is kind of your, 92 Zeta mats is kind of your peak without any kind of bonus drops or other things going on. So you're looking at, over 4 Zetas per month. Now, the next look that we need to pay attention to is Zetas released to date. So as you guys will see, here's the characters that have been released to date. Now, Jocasta in 2025. Now, Jocasta New and CX2, some people actually have CX2, others do not. But they were released. Their kits were released, and the way I feel about that is the way CG probably, and I would assume this is the way CG thinks, so again, we're assuming, but if they release Jocasta, they're saying, hey, those are 3 Zetas that we added to the game. That they're not adding them the minute that she's unlockable. Hey, she's in the game now, there's 3 Zetas that we've added. That's kind of the concept that I'm going with here. So if you take those 92 Zeta mats at the top here, take those 92, multiply that by 4 months, right? Go to the end of April, 4 months, you will have gotten a full 18 mats, right? We're dividing by 20, so there's your total number of mats, 370. And then if you divide by 20, since you need 20 Zetas, you're going to end up at 2.5 Zetas over, this over-under here is saying, hey, there was 16 released. You could have earned 18 at the most, so your over-under is 2.5. So, to date, based on everything that they've released, there's still extra Zetas that you could be equipping in the game. Right? That's what this math is showing us. And then even if we were to change this to just say 12, right? Maybe you're going down to this point here. You're getting 21 to 50, and maybe even changing the assault battles to 5, right? Maybe you're getting 5 of those. So at that point, you are still just barely ahead of where the game is, right? You've gotten, a few extra mats hanging around. Again, I'm not, again, you can play with this however you want. I'm just trying to show you that there is a lot of Zetas that are getting into your account. It just seems like you need a lot more because of the current state of those Lightspeed bundles. But what about 2024? If we go back to 2024. Or here, you know what? Let's stay in 2025 and let's just do a quick little challenge, right? Even if you take this 16 and say, all right, we're going to have, we're 4 months and there's 12. So if we multiply everything by 3, right? Hey, we're going to get 48 Zetas. At this point, equals 3. You're going to end up with an extra 7 Zetas, give or take, right? So an extra 7 Zetas at the end of the year. I'm not saying that's fantastic, but from Capital Games' point of view, they're saying, hey, there is opportunity for you to get 7 extra Zetas without any other bonuses that we're giving you if you equip every single one of the Zetas that we're going to release this year. Now, what about 2024? With 2024, you guys will see I've added up all the characters here with the amount of Zetas that they get, and that came out to 44. So now, You look at the 12 months of Zetas at that rate, you get 55 full mats, which was plus 11. So at this point in 2024, you are actually able to add, get up to over 11 extra Zetas than what was released into the game, which that's a pretty solid number. And that's including GL Ahsoka, where there was 6 Zetas. So that's a pretty good look there, right? You can feel pretty confident at this point to say, yeah, you know what? 11 extra Zetas, that is pretty significant. And you think for some Galactic Legend teams, that's more Zetas than are in the team. So, yeah, that's a pretty solid number if you equipped every single one of these Zetas, which I can tell you that I did equip all but one. I did not equip Stap. Every other one of these Zetas I equipped. I'm looking through that list. Yeah, every single one of those I equipped except for the Stap, which is kind of funny. So, there's that, right? Now, let's say we change this to 12, right? If you go down here to 12, 85, you're still plus 7. Even if I go down to 15 for Fleet Arena, reduce that, that's when you start getting into the negatives. If you're not spending enough currency, you start getting into the negatives. But it's pretty easy to maintain, to stay on top of this, right? So that's 2020, going back to 2024. And again, we're not going much further there. There's extra Zetas that are in the game. Now, what about a total in the game? There are 398 total Zetas, which is the top player has 395 because he has 2 on Oppo. And then, of course, we need to add 3 for Jocasta Nu. So at that point, that's almost 8,000 mats. If you divide this by your monthly Zeta amount here, you get 85 months, which is over 7 years. So just think, it's 7 years of earning the maximum amount of Zetas based on all the ones that have been released to date. This number now shows a very different picture, in my opinion. See, I think this number here and this number here both look relatively good. Hey, they're releasing these Zetas, but if you're earning enough resources, you're able to catch up. But when you really break it down this way, I think the wheels start to fall off of that argument a little bit. Because of how old the game is, you're looking and you're saying, wow, you know what? That's a long time. And just to show you how significant of a change it would potentially take to make a difference there, if we just took our materials in the Fleet Arena and said, hey, we're going to double drop these Zetas. So, and I'm just going to go to 1,000 for the sake of argument, right? Hey, we're going to double drop all of these. And I've got to come down here, right? And so if we double drop all that, you go up to 121 extra Zetas, which still takes off about a little over 1.5 years. That's still a long time. So when you see that number, when I saw that, I was like, holy crap, that's a significant change, and we've not even scratched the surface, right? Even going down here to your challenge, let's just say that you move this up to 12, double that, then where do we end up? You're still at 4.5 years. Just if I did, hey, your fleet stuff, if I double those, 4.5. I mean, that is a lot of time still. So when we talk about this Zeta economy, and I think about the players who are coming into the game now, and they're sitting there like, hey, I'm starving for Zetas, there is a big part of that I think we as a player base need to own, that we've kind of circumvented the system, right? You bought your gear, you didn't buy your Zetas, so there's a mismatch. But when I saw this number up here, I definitely found myself more feeling like something could change. I found myself beginning to think about, yeah, we maybe need to have a discussion and that CG should be looking at this. Because at that point, you're still going to release more Zetas. It's not like they're going to stop. They're just going to continue to release more. So, yes, eventually you'll catch up, but it's not going to be soon, given how many Zetas you're releasing at a time compared to that are available. Now, I do want to give Capital Games some credit. If we flip over to the game here, I do think they have done a better job of releasing Zetas to be sold. Because Zetas are something that have, for many years, were just time-walled, right? That you couldn't even buy these. There are ways to buy them now. There's the hyperdrive, but you've even got this mastery bundle giving out 40 Zetas. You never used to see packs like this. I'm not saying that I think this is a steal, but you never used to see stuff like this before. Never. So I can't harp on them and say they haven't, like, I do believe they have made the purchasing of Zetas far easier. I do think they have tried to release some packs that do have Zetas with a little bit more frequency. So I do believe there is some almost like sunk cost fallacy going on where, you bought the new Omega, or you bought, this Lightspeed bundle, and, here's this Zeta pack, right? Well, you already spent it, so you may as well spend on the Zetas too. And that's the whole way this game makes money. It's a gacha game. So when wrapping this up, and again, huge shout out to Egnards. I do want to have a debate with him on, the economy and what we think about there. But what I would say at the end here is, again, some of you are going to be looking for advice. I'll do that in a separate video. But the biggest thing I'll say is we do need to recognize that just making them more available doesn't solve the problem, because there's other pieces that go into it. You've got Omegas, you've got the purple pieces, and depending how quickly that stockpiles, other things lose value. Zetas are something that Capital Games has an assigned value to. They find it to be something that they have wanted to hold on to, and that there's a purpose to that. And I think a big purpose is because they've recognized that if they were available to purchase like they are now, the amount of players who would be able to buy their way to the end game is far greater than what they're able to do now. I have fought a lot of those guys in GAC who've got 12 million GP and 100 less Zetas than me. And they can't keep up. Their relics begin to fall apart at that level where you've got the Zetas invested. So we do need to get smarter with the way we invest them, but I do think there's some things Capital Games could do to make this better, to be covered separately. So let me know your thoughts down below. Like, subscribe, comment. I love you all. May the force be with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, my friends.